Blue collar, white collar, black professors, white scholars, politicians, Dalai Lamas. Everybody in the whole wide world need hope if I be honest. I'm in that number.
Hey, good day. Welcome to another episode of Raw Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? That guy right there is Roland Martin, as you already know, and you probably know a little history about Roland Martin, especially his hand in the 2016 election and how he, kind of helped Hillary Clinton with some answers during the debate against Bernie Sanders. So this guy, now don't get me wrong, Roland Martin is a smart, black, intellectual male. He's for business. He has some great views in certain areas, especially dealing with the black community. But he don't have great views in every area. And what I'm going to talk about today, he's wrong. And I'm going to tell you why he's wrong, at least in my opinion, why I think he's wrong. And what he's doing is actually what the left wants him to do, people like him to do. And they're smear people who bring up the issue of identity politics. Now, I'm going to go through this video. I'm going to break it down because I'm not going to show it first and then come back and break it down later because I got to answer some of this stuff. Now, I'm not the most intelligent person in the world. I'll admit, Roland Martin probably wear me out on a debate. I'm not a good debater. I don't like arguments. I don't like debate. I say my piece, I'm out. If you want to challenge me, that's fine. I'll come back at you every now and then. I mean, I can get in debate. Don't get me wrong. It's just that some debates are a waste of energy. And in this issue, I'm clowning. I'm laughing because I'm listening to his point. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? What the heaven are you talking about? So what you're saying, you're trying to tell us we can't tell people to focus on the policies and don't focus on identity? Nobody's ever said that. Let me play this video. All right, I'll be right back. Let's take a look at this. But he recently went over an article Bernie Sanders put in the newspaper op-ed, and he did it in October. It just released today. He read it. He's a little upset. Now he said he's about to unpackage this thing for us. So let's let him unpackage this thing for us.
Unpack this and properly deconstruct it. Bernie's.
Now you're gonna hear black people that's on this show saying, as if they really knew that. And let's say they did know everything that Roland Martin says. Now, understand, again, Roland is a smart, intellectual black man who I have a certain level of respect for. Certain levels. I don't give everybody my 100% respect because they don't deserve 100% respect. Is same thing. I don't demand people to respect me. If I feel you're wrong, I'm gonna talk to you about it. I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna challenge you on it, no matter how smart you are. And sure, you'll wipe the floor with me in the debate, and you probably know more about American history and African American history and all that. But what they got to do with anything? So he's going to go over what identity politics was, not is, because it has changed.
Senator Bernie Sanders has been a consistent and frequent critic of what he terms identity politics. He talked about it a lot in 2016, and since the election of 16, in 2017, in 2018. This article came out this interview was done in October. It's just coming out in issues right now. Magazines typically have a 3-month lag when it comes to these issues. Here is the problem, which I had, just so y'all know, I have personally told Senator Sanders this to his face.
And what did he do, Roland? Did he listen to you? Because obviously he didn't. Because if he did, he wouldn't have did that article. Now, he's going through unpackaging this thing, and he's talking about identity politics. Let's go through it. He personally told Bernie Sanders, I'm scared of you.
The fundamental issue that I have with him is that he has a flawed argument when he talks about identity politics.
Now, if he had a flawed argument about identity politics, how come it's the BuzzFeed word? How come people have took the term of identity theft? How come people have took the term? Please understand, I teach on identity theft in the community and how to protect yourself from identity theft. It comes out of my mouth thousands of times. It's going to slip through my mouth when we talk about identity politics because I get confused on that. So bear with me. All right, so let's go.
Just for all y'all to understand, identity politics was a phrase derived by white Americans out of the 60s, of the civil rights movement, some call the Black Freedom Movement.
All right, let's go back.
Politics was a phrase.
Keyword, identity. So you know, identity politics was a phrase derived out of the civil rights movement that white people used to combat us when we talked about acting for civil rights. I agree with you on that. It was their way of saying you're using identity politics. You're trying to demand things, or you're trying to ask for things. You're trying to ask for privileges. And actually, the black people was asking for civil rights. We want the same thing that you got.
Phrase derived by white Americans out of the 60s, of the civil rights movement, some call the Black Freedom Movement.
Now, but Roland, it's 2019, baby. It's 2019. Terminologies change. One thing can mean one thing, and it can change to another thing. Right? Right. You said it was. So obviously you know that the term has changed. And most of this generation don't know what you're telling. You're giving us a history as if that the history lesson is going to stop me from using the term today of identity politics. But let's keep going, bro.
The phrase identity politics came about because white Americans were saying, how dare y'all demand, quote, special treatment, when in fact, black folks were not demanding special treatment. What black folks were saying is, no, give us the same rights as y'all got under the United States Constitution. So what they did is, by black people demanding to be able to go sit in hotels and live and sleep in them, demanding to go into restaurants, demanding to swim in swimming pools, demanding to walk in parks, demanding to ride a bus without having to sit in the back, demanding to be treated as a full American, whites called it identity politics. So as a result, since the 60s, anytime black people have been demanding equal rights under the law, it's been phrased as identity politics.
Now, let me stop you right there. All right. You say in the 60s. It's 2019, bruh. All right. Nobody lately has been using identity politics as a term to fight against civil rights, because that's what you're saying. You're saying back then, white America, which it wasn't all white America, because white America was on the side of giving us, helping us achieve our equal rights. They were in the fight with us. So you can't say all white people. You got to say some white people. They're not using that term now as a way to push back against civil rights, push back on Hispanic rights, African-American rights, gay and lesbian rights. Nobody is using identity politics right now to do that, bruh. But you're trying to act like Bernie Sanders is using that. But, man, that's an old term, and we don't need to be using that term. No, it's a perfect time to reshape that term, because it's just what it is. People are thinking we should vote for them because of this, because they look like this, they dress like this, when right now, even those things may matter. The most important thing is making sure we do something that's going to bring this country back together and lift this country back up. But let's keep going.
Then, of course, everybody else saw that. Other groups that were oppressed, women, Latinos, gays and lesbians, said, hey, wait a minute. We also have had the government, power of the government being used against us. And so white critics said, identity politics. Senator Bernie Sanders is literally using.
Now, let me go back. Have anybody heard that term being used to push back civil rights? I mean, they probably did it in the 60s, but in the past 20 years, have anybody used that term to push back on civil rights? I haven't heard it. I'm 50 years old. I haven't heard that term to be used to push back on civil rights. I haven't heard it. I'm from down south, South Florida. Redneck as they come, racist as they come. I haven't heard it then. I haven't heard it now. And I live in New York City. If anybody heard that, please put in a comment. Have you heard identity politics being used to push back on civil rights? Because right now we're using identity politics to push back on when it comes to applying policies that's going to help all people. We've gone beyond just focusing on races just to get things done in America. Let's keep going.
The same language as the critics of the Black freedom movement.
It's not the same language, Roland Martin. The term identity politics right now mean that we're not going to vote based on your color. We're not going to vote based on your gender. We're not going to vote based on what college you came from, what industry you came from. We're going to vote based on what you planning on doing for the people of America. All people, including blacks, including Latinos. We're not leaving nobody out. It's inclusive. That's the new term for it, bruh.
And the reason that's problematic is because politics, by its very nature, is established along identity politics. You want an example? I got one for you. If they say in politics, soccer moms, who the hell is that? They ain't talking about Barbara. They ain't talking about Janice. Soccer moms in America are defined as white women who live in the suburbs whose kids play soccer. Y'all want another one? NASCAR dads.
Never heard of that one, Roland.
Okay? They ain't talking about Cleo. They ain't talking about Greg. Nope. They ain't talking about me.
Nope.
They're talking about white men who wrap themselves in the flag, who are largely conservative and Christian, who watch NASCAR. Politics is about fragmenting an audience and appealing to different people. I can go down the line the phrases that pollsters and consultants have used over the course of history to determine how we reach people.
Now let's stop. Well, Roland, Obama used the term soccer moms. Obama used those terms. Okay? Obama used them. Hillary Clinton used them. Bill Clinton used them. Those are terminologies. Those are just establishing certain segments. And I agree with you, bro. But have you heard Bernie Sanders talking about that? Have you heard other politicians? Have you heard Jill Stein talk about that? Oh, you don't want to talk about Jill Stein because she's not a Democrat, right? Okay, we got soccer moms. We got NASCAR dads. We got working African American moms are working. Okay, we have all these people. That's the reason why Bernie Sanders said we don't need to be using identity politics. You're saying the way you're talking right now, you're getting upset because he's saying get away from that. Let's focus on policies. And let's focus on policies that's going to help the working mom, the single mom, the NASCAR dad, the soccer mom, the school teacher, the single black male. Let's focus on policies that's going to uplift all those people who are in certain identities. Focusing on, let me keep going. Look at his face. Like, ooh, you mad, ain't you? Look at you. You're mad. You mad. All that brain you got in that big old head, and it is big, but mine's big too. All that brain you got, man, you're fuming. Look at you. Look at you. You're upset. But I'm going to talk about what you're really doing.
1960, John F. Kennedy. Why was he so not sure how I'm going to talk about civil rights? Why? Because he did not want to offend white Democratic Southerners who were racist because he needed their votes in order to win. That's why he was skittish. That, folks, is identity politics. What Bernie Sanders is going to have to learn is that if you think you're going to get black votes, you cannot keep using the same language that white critics have used against black people for demanding what is right.
Now, let me stop there. What is he using to push back against black people getting what is right. Bernie Sanders never said, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not on the Bernie Sanders bandwagon. I never heard Bernie Sanders saying that black people shouldn't get what they want. If anything, he said that. He said Hispanics need to get what they want. He went toward the so-called identity areas that he's using political power to help them out. So since we're talking about the subject of identity politics, Bernie has went and campaigned and fought and marched and protests for black people. So how are you going to accuse this man of using identity politics? The term that he's using for identity politics is not the same. Now, I know you're trying to probably say he needs to change his term. No, because it's just what it is. These people running for office right now, these people who are trying to vie for the presidency, people are actually going out there saying, I'm going to vote for her because she's black. I'm going to vote for him because he's black. I'm going to vote for him because he's Hispanic. I'm going to vote for him, because we got all cultures in the Democratic Party running, black, male, black, female. You got Julian Castro. And some people going to vote for that just because of identity. And that's what Bernie Sanders mean by identity politics. Let's stay focused on the issues and allow the issues to help people in the black community, to help people in the Hispanic community, to help people in the LGBT community, because everybody should have the same rights. So let's push the policies that's going to get them the same right instead of pushing just identity politics. So what you're saying he's doing, he's totally doing the opposite, brother. Let me keep going.
Now, when you talk about being right on the issues, Senator Sanders, we absolutely want candidates who are right on the issues. But what you need to understand is that this is the first time in America, definitely since Reconstruction, where you've actually had 4 black United States senators.
Now, let's stop there. Okay, we got 4 black United States senators. Now, you got to understand, Mr. Brainiac, Mr. Newsman, Roland Martin, Mr. toe dancing, heel toe dancing, whatever you want with Hillary Clinton to help her get votes from the. You actually told her that if you dance, we're gonna get some of the black folks. I know you were just kidding, but you said if you don't know how to do the wobble, you ain't gonna get no black folks. As if you represent black people and you can control who black people vote, because you can't control who I vote for. And a lot of black people left your party because of this mess that you're doing right here.
You haven't had that. You had Deval Patrick, who was a 2-term governor in Massachusetts.
Hold up.
Who was considering running. Eric Holder, former attorney general, is considering running. To have 2 or 3 or 4 black folks actually running for president is a major thing.
And he has no problem with that if they're about the policies. Yeah, we got the black person running for office. You got Cory Booker, you got Eric Holder, you got all these people. Nobody cares about their color if they're corporatists and they're going to side with white America and not do nothing for black people. Nobody cares about that, bruh. Nobody cares. You got to listen to Bernie Sanders. He's putting more people in Congress, too. He's using his platform and his power to put Hispanics, put Hindus, put Muslims in positions of power. He's doing more than you ever done.
So when Bernie Sanders says my critics, what they're saying is, all we want is black or somebody who's gay or women. No, Bernie, what America is saying is that we have had to look at white men like you for eternity. Now,
I got to push back on you, Roland. Bernie Sanders never said that. He don't mind somebody black running for office. He encouraged everybody to run for office. He don't mind the fact that you're black. He mind the fact that people are going to gravitate toward people just because they're black. I did that with Obama, bruh. I did it. What have he done for us of significant while he was off? Just us. I mean, because you smooth with him. You schmooze with the Clintons. You schmooze. Come on, what have he done? And come on, let's face the truth. Let's face the truth, Roland Martin. A lot of us went and voted for Obama because he was black. And 9 times 10, you probably voted for him because he was black too. Yeah, the fact that he's better than John McCain, he was, wouldn't nobody go vote for John McCain anyway. But if it was a good person, we voted for Obama over Hillary Clinton. And a lot of us did it in the primary because he was black. Well, Bernie Sanders is saying, look, being black running for office, that's fine, but what's your policies? Because right now, if you got crappy policies, yo, that ain't going to work. Sure, black America will support black president, but that ain't going to be enough to beat Trump, dog. It's not going to be enough. Because if you're not getting some of the white people on your side, Obama won because he played both sides of his color, white and black. He played both sides of the aisle. He said, you know, I'm not for red and blue. I'm for America. He played both sides. He didn't lean over into the politics. Bernie Sanders not saying he's leaning over to those politics, man. But let me let you keep going, and then I'll finish.
Do you know how many white men have served on the Supreme Court?
He know.
In American history?
He know.
Bernie, I want you to walk into the United States Senate.
Roland, he know. He know. He probably walk into the United States Senate more than you because he's in the United States Senate, dog.
And stand there and say, damn, there's a whole bunch of white men in here.
He know that, and he talked about that all the time. He goes more than you go.
Bernie, go into Fortune America, Fortune 500 companies.
He running against them. He's pushing back on them. They hate him.
You're going to see a sea of white men. So, Bernie Sanders, I understand that you believe that you're right on these issues and other folks are not advocating these issues. But you need to also understand, working class is an identity politics phrase. Real America is an identity politics phrase. All of this, Bernie Sanders, is all the language of politics. And so when you come in moralizing as if somehow I am greater than this, and this thing really isn't about race, it's more about class, that also is nonsensical, Bernie, because class is also about race. Yeah. Because if you begin to break down where folks live and where they work, Janice earlier talked about why African Americans.
Hold on, man, I hate to disagree with you. Class isn't just about race because you got rich black people who crap on poor people too, bro. All right. Sure, there's a lot more white rich people than black, but you got black people who act like they white and forget their community and don't do nothing for them, and they crap on them every day, every time something try to get done. Roland Martin. So even though he'll talk about blacks, Hispanic, and things like that, the different classes, he's looking at the colors. He's not looking at identity politics. Let me keep going.
Respond so differently to a government shutdown because the percentage of black folks who work in government is much higher because we've been frozen out of corporate America all these years. There's a reason why black people lost so much during the previous times when Republicans shut down government on the federal level and the state level when they cut those jobs, because more black people are operating with six-figure jobs in politics and government because government was seen to be more fair than corporate America. And so, Bernie, why are you out here talking about race and class? You need to understand that America still is making decisions based upon race, and race is driving class. Now, I know this interview took place in October, and I know that you were in South Carolina, and you were there when Senator Cory Booker was there, and you made some comments talking about racism in America on Monday. But if you continue with this crusade by trying to trash identity politics, let me be real clear. You will never get the Democratic nomination for president, because black people, when they hear you criticize identity politics, what they're actually hearing is you criticizing black people fighting for advancement. A suggestion from me, you might want to take that out your vocabulary, because if you continue to use it, I can guarantee you you will not be facing Donald Trump in 2020.
All right, bro, let me address you, Roland Martin. Like I said, you probably wiped the floor with me and on debate and everything, and your brain is bigger than mine. We both got big heads. Yours a little bigger than mine. I mean, not probably a lot bigger, but we both got brains, big heads. I want you to listen to me, bruh. I'm a black man, and there's a lot of black men and women just like me that understands what Bernie Sanders means. You're not going to go around trying to tell him to take that out of the vocabulary, because what it do is put a mark on anybody who run for office who think they're going to run and expect to get votes based on color and not the content of his policies. They're going to get a pushback. Now, who are you to try to represent the entire black people? You're not convincing black people not to do anything. I guarantee you that if he continue to push policies and not focus on identity politics, the new term, which means you going out assuming that people are going to vote for you because you're black, because you're Hispanic, and not going to focus on your policies. People have wisened up, Roland Martin. This new generation of people that's coming into the voting process, they're wise. They're wiser than me and you. They can check people's records. They're not looking at your color. They're looking at your record. They're looking at your record of what you've done in the community, including the black community. They're looking at that. I don't give a crap if you're black, and if you don't have no policies that's going to lift up black people, Hispanic people, and yes, I'm using what they used to call identity politics terms. If you're not going to use your policies to lift these people up, what's the use of putting you in office? No, don't change your term, Bernie Sanders. Use it. Say the new term for identity politics mean that you're going to vote for somebody based on their identity and not the content of not just their character, but their policies that they're running on. See, the fact of the matter is, Roland Martin, Democratic Party has no policies. They suck. They suck. And these people who run for office have yet to unveil their policy. Now, I heard Julian Castro policies. I heard a couple of progressives policies. I haven't heard Kamala's policy, and she's a black, half Indian woman. Haven't heard her policies. All she did are lofty words, and she's nothing but another form of Hillary Clinton, little dash of Obama with a little dash of Bill Clinton. She's a super cop to run for the office of president. I'd rather have an activist like Nina Turner, a black woman. I'm using identity politics term, right? A black woman who has great policies. That's what I'm focused on. This new generation, this new America, not old people like us who just vote Democratic like it's nothing, and they haven't done a whole bunch lately for us. They've done some things, but nothing major. They have to be pushed to fight for us. And that's all we've been doing as black people. We've been applying the pressure for them to fight for us. And yeah, people did call that identity politics back then. The Democratic Party and people in your party call it identity politics when black people make a demand. They call it identity politics when we say we want policies over color. We want policies over social status. Let me calm down. So my whole point of this video is, Roland Martin, we're not going to stop using that term. Bernie Sanders already let the term out, and it's out there. This new generation has used the term. They changed the meaning of the term. Identity politics, and you know it's changing, and you're doing whatever the media tell you to do to try to get the term out of the political spectrum for the next 2 years, because it is a weapon against those who just assume somebody gonna vote for them because they're black. You got Ricky Smiley telling people to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a sorority sister. She haven't talked about none of her policies. He don't know none of her policies. Don't know a real reason to vote for her. All he talking about vote for her because she's Delta or whatever. And you got the nerves to get on Bernie Sanders, a man who marched with black people, who fought for civil rights. You don't think he don't know that? Now, don't accuse me of taking up for Bernie. I don't take no sides. When Bernie get off, I get on him too. If I get off, of course, I know you people gonna get on me too. But Roland, you're off, bruh. You're trying to shut down that term because that term is a powerful weapon against people in the Democratic Party who think they just gonna mosey on because of their color and just because they grill somebody like Jeff Sessions at a hearing. Look, bruh. The bottom line, we don't care about your color. And that's what you want to use as we pushing back against identity politics. Most people in America are not going to be focused on what color you are, because you can be black and not do nothing for black people. You can be Hispanic and not do nothing for Hispanic people. Where is the activism going on in Washington, D.C.? Politicians become politicians and they forgot about activism. So you can go ahead and talk all this stuff you want. Number one, you're not shaming Bernie. And for people who watch you and your strong talk, let me tell you something. Your strong talk ain't moved Bernie because he still put that article out and he ain't going to stop using that term. And you can talk to him all you want. He still ain't going to use that term because that term has been changed. The terminology have changed. Identity politics now doesn't mean pushing back against the civil rights movement. Identity politics mean, look, we're not going to be focused on what you are, who you are, and your skin color. We're going to be focused on the policies that's going to lift your community up. If you're not about policies that's going to lift your community up, then we're not voting for you. You can call it whatever you want. Identity politics or not. That term ain't going nowhere, bro. And if he don't reinforce it, people like me and other people will reinforce it for good instead of bad. And right now we're using it for good. And again, I quote and repeat, identity politics now means that we're not going to be focused on your color. Sure, we would love a woman in office. We would love a black man in office again that's going to do right by the black people and all people. We would love Arabs in office and things like that. Bernie Sanders have put more people of color in office, I'm talking about multicolored in office, than most of these politicians in office right now. Bernie Sanders did just in the last few years. Alexandria Ocasio, funded by Justice Democratic and Bernie Sanders Our Revolution. And, I can go on and on and on. So he's doing right, man. He's putting people in office of color. He's staying focused on the policies over the personalities. He's encouraging us to vote for people who's going to lift up the black community and the Hispanic community. And that's what he's all about. So no, he's not going to stop using it. I'm not going to stop using it. And lastly, you can't tell that man whether he's going to have the Democratic nomination or not because you don't represent all black people. The only person that probably would give Bernie Sanders a hard time is the black community 55 and up. The black community 45 and under will support Bernie Sanders over anybody that's running right now, unless you con them and dupe them with media narratives to vote for Kamala Harris, who have no policy and her record is horrible. And that's just the black people. Bernie Sanders command independents. And if independents vote for Bernie Sanders, even as a Democrat, he still win. You can't tell independents what to do. Half the 13 million Democrats left the party and became independent or non-affiliated. So who are you to tell anybody that they won't get the nomination if they keep talking about identity politics? No, the bottom line is if he keep people focused on the policies, he probably will get the nomination if people like you don't cheat in debates and try to push Kamala Harris to dance to get votes. Oh, you think we forgot about that? We ain't forgot about that. You do not control black people. You don't control the black narrative. You don't control the black talking points. So, dude, stop it. The bottom line is, if Bernie Sanders stay on the issues, and you guys don't cheat, he will win the Democratic nomination. Know why? Because the independents would support him, as well as majority of young black America. Young black America will support Bernie Sanders. And when I say young, 45 and under, and it's a lot of us. White America will support him. Even some Republicans support him. That's why I hope he don't try to run for the Democratic office. I want him to run independent, because he don't need the freaking Democrats and he don't need the Republicans. Bernie Sanders stand right now at this moment, Mr. Roland Martin, with the ability to take half of the Democratic vote. Bernie Sanders, including some of the blacks. People like me and you. Right now, he's staying ready right now to take majority of the white women and the white men vote in the Democratic Party, except these corporate con jobs. The people are supporting him. Right now, Bernie Sanders command a huge part of the independent base. Without the independent base, none of you gonna win. The reason you lost is because the independents went for Trump instead of Hillary Clinton. And she danced and everything, and they still weren't going for her. So, dude, you don't make the prediction on who's going to win or not. You thought Hillary was going to win, and she got a butt spank. Because the bottom line is, people need not to focus on the content of their skin, but their character and their policies. Dr. Martin Luther King taught us that. Focus on that. And if you got that in office, it's going to take care of the black community. It's going to take care of the Hispanic community. I can go on and on and on. So no, keep talking that word, identity politics. Because identity politics is the right word to be used in 2019 and 2020 to get a real people, person-driven politician in that White House that's going to take care of the working class.